Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. How's everyone doing? How's everyone? I was going to say welcome in. How's everyone doing? I combined the statements. Good morning, Kevin. Are you still in Lakeland, Kevin? Good morning, Patrick. Happy Friday. To you, good morning, Ted. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Dean. Good morning to people in the background. Good morning to people. Rusty, good morning over on Rumble. How is everyone doing this fine Friday? Good morning, Sterling. Is this the last day of your vacation? I mean, besides the weekend, but you have to head back to work next week, unfortunately, probably. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone's going to have a wonderful weekend. So, good morning, David. Yeah, I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, I need to get some more sleep. Last night was another rough one. It had AC issue. We hit the highest temperature ever in Phoenix for August yesterday. Highest temperature ever for the month of August since they began recording records in 1895. So it was a hot one yesterday. And then AC issues. Wonderful. On a brand new AC. Well, actually, two brand new ACs. Going home Sunday. Sorry about that, Sterling. Good morning, John. I hope you had a pleasant vacation, Sterling, and thank you for tuning in during your vacation. Well, again, I'm going to really stress today, please do not do anything stupid. Short-term trade, please don't do stupid today. Not saying you're going to. There is nothing. We got Fed Muslim speaking. We'll have whatever the administration cooks up today. Tariffs on gold bars. We got rig counts. That's it today. We got Bowman speaking tomorrow. Next week, we don't really get anything, and the CPI is on Tuesday. So again, this is a quiet week. Yesterday's price action, the S&P, was very, very impressive. Why is that? So, I got to fix something on Rumble. So, was very impressive with the S&P not closing above the 62.5% level. So far this morning, we have all the Mag 7 up except for Tesla that canceled their Dojo supercomputer project, and it's only down 0.5%. Everything up. Lilly bouncing back a little. Again, would not be rushing out to buy Lilly. Yeah, AC repair and can print money out here. So, groups, everything's positive today except comm services is slightly negative. That'll probably change going in the open. Fed watch, still 89% for the cut in September. In neutral mode, we're up in green mode briefly for yesterday, but then shifted to neutral with that weaker close. Schiller PE 38.15. Good morning, Rick. Earnings. You had Block yesterday, miss, up on that miss, but they reaffirmed guidance. So, by the way, if you're trading Block, there's still a gap fill left behind that is going to probably open at this morning. Again, nothing much this morning. Nothing much to talk about, so we're not going to bother. We're just not going to bother. Hello, Charles. All right, so yesterday, I was watching the 1 hour rotation zone. Like we said, we got momentum straight through the 1 hour rotation zone, straight through my second level. So again, hands off. Did get a end of day little buy set up there, a percent beat buy in a 1 hour, and so that was very interesting end of day yesterday, and then we came through right now. With that pullback, that was a pullback into the, where's yesterday? Where did I go? Right here. Yesterday, pullback right here. Coming back down below my level, nearly to the final breakout level right here, the prior break, the key break, or I should say key support levels, and holding the daily rotation zone. But again, no close above 63.82. Still going to be watching for that today. But we've really reaffirmed a key support zone between 63.20 and 63.35. So if that starts breaking, that will get interesting. Other than that, just for today, again, I'm not doing much. 63.88 for breakout from the price action, 63.70 for potential breakdown, but that only takes you to about 63.50 area. Above this 63.88, 6400 area, and then right prior to the sell-offs around 64.18 to 64.25 is a very key resistance area up here. So, but not much news coming out today. Again, this is a very key little support shelf. It did break below it yesterday, but still 63.70 is a very key support shelf. Good morning, Anissa. Hearing about liquidity changing, but not sure what they're talking about. Maybe you have. I need more information, Rick. So, be wary of AC repairman named Jerome. Thank you for the tip, Ted. Watching in video stereo. Oh, you're watching on Patrick. You're watching on both Rumble and YouTube. Well, thank you for streaming it on Rumble, Patrick. The NASDAQ had a nicer setup on the pullback yesterday, straight into the 4-hour rotation zone. Just dipping below the key support level, but then bouncing above it. Remember, this is an area bouncing above it, and there was again a spike low with a 1-hour percent B buy. Again, those are very aggressive, but I will watch for them against. I prefer 4 hours. When we've had sell-offs like that against a very key support level, and you get a nice bottoming candle that also forms a percent B buy, is something that you can watch for. Right now, there is a little mini double top. Again, be very careful on a Friday. Be very careful shorting the NASDAQ right now. That would be a close 23,503. I'd just be watching 23,500. There is that. Other than that, the breakout level where the double top formed again is about 23,575. Break above there to targets yesterday's high area, 23,655. NASDAQ did close above the 62.5 yesterday. By the way, also the NASDAQ is in, again, may never trigger, but we do have potential double top territory. Also, spiders and the Qs are in potential double tops. Again, may never trigger, but something from a trailing perspective, guess where longer term stops or where hedges would kick in even more for me. So, since we are in double tops, we have very key levels to watch. The Dow, the double is still not off the table. Still not off the table. But there's nothing else to talk about. The Dow is now struggling to regain the key support breakdown from yesterday. Retested it from the underside, but is not going to get much traction. If we do get above there again, there's major resistance back at 44,400. There's not a ton of great setups yet today. The Russell triggered a double, and so far nothing. It is not invalidated yet. The invalidation point is 2240.4 on a closing basis. Just caught in this range. I mean, it dipped below and then snapped right back in. Not a lot of fantastic setups today. I'll keep stressing that. The VIX, there is a mini potential double bottom. Doubt it will trigger, but going to keep an eye on it. It could get invalidated before it triggers, but again, on the close on the VIX above 1764, is that disaster mode? No, but that could put some more selling pressure on the markets if that does trigger. The DAX closing just below the 62.5 yesterday. Again, not back in consolidation, not a lot of great setups there either. Yields. By the way, from my perspective, this is over. I'm just pulling it off. This was just a little mini head and shoulders. Again, it's found support by those prior lows and starting to edge up with cycles trying to turn up, coming out of oversold conditions. I'm just now watching for yields to possibly get back to 4.32, 4.33. I'm pulling that pattern off my stuff. Crude, we did close below the 62.5 yesterday. What does that mean? We did have a mini potential double bottom that we dipped too low early with the European Open. And now, so what I'm now watching for is rally rollovers. Rally rollovers. So even on pops, even if we get percent B buys, those are going to be for pop plays only. Looking especially back closer to just above 65, unless we really ignite momentum. Going to be patient because we aren't oversold, but we did break key support. So on any bounces, rollover plays now from my perspective. Gold. Gold broke to new highs. This is why we're not shorting gold, are we? Dark screen. So, for those of us who are traders, 401ks being allowed to invest in private equity, crypto, and real estate should increase liquidity. What should we do to prepare? What? By the way, I wouldn't put that crap in your 401k. At this point, I wouldn't be chasing real estate. Crypto, I mean, I just use that in a regular trading account. I would not put, if you have to, it would be Bitcoin probably only. Would not put anything else in there. This deregulation of that scares me with 401ks. In private equity, I would not touch because a lot of the private equity offerings will be the stuff they're trying to offload into the retail bag holders. So I'd be really careful with that, especially private equity. So gold, again, still in the rotation zone. Gold still have 3550 area, then 3600 as the harmonics. Gold looking like it could be topping out a little with very overbought, but again, this prior breakout area with the rising rotation zone now becomes support. Dollar index. Dollar index is actually interesting. Okay, we're still, now if we close below 97.39, remember that I'm watching for the bigger pullback in dollar index. Now we don't have this triggering yet, but I am keeping an eye on it. It is against the 4-hour rotation zone, but the 4-hour rotation zone would be out of the way. If it were to trigger, we do have a mini double bottom. Needs to close above 98.07. So I'm keeping an eye on that. All right, now all like gold longs for me, if we close and get bad above the below the 62.5 are off the table. Then I'm watching for a pullback into this prior area. And euro. Euro, we do have a mini. It could get invalidated on this move back up, but at this point, we do have a little mini double top. Okay, so I'm keeping an eye on that too. What else? The spiders. Here's what I was talking about. You can see the double on the spiders. Again, that's for longer term stuff. And if we look at that on the weekly, it would be out of the way of the top of the rotation zone if it did trigger. So that would be, again, for hedging and for longer term stops. Other than that, not much to talk about. Very key support is around 632. It's going to be above that. Key resistance now is around yesterday's open. Besides using some shorter term harmonics, yesterday's open, 636 area, 636.24 to be exact. The Qs, you can also see the potential double. Again, just pointing it out from a longer term perspective. The Qs yesterday off the gap up, filled the gap, and then rebounded. Today, going to gap up. If it does roll over, 569.24 is key support, and then right around 567.25, I'd be looking at with this gap up today, key resistance 571.67, and then the prior highs. Hey, Christoph, how you doing? PG bottoming pattern. Let me just look at Bitcoin real quick. Bitcoin triggered the little mini double, broke above the channel, which I like to see, and then slammed straight into first target. So it's been stop raise at this point. Stop raise at this point. Uh, the technical farthest stop you'd want on this would be below 114.072. Personally, I'd keep a tighter stop than that. But that's where it sits. That's the invalidation point. Now I can go to PG. PG, bottoming pattern. This, I mean, that's not a double. So do we have was that a long-term bottoming pattern? No. We don't have a long-term bottoming pattern. We've entered the bounce window. Am I looking at this yet? It's still on my watch list, but with dipping below the 200, with the rotation zone going down, I'm still watching even after this minor bounce for another at least rollover play. Personally, that's what I'm looking for. It is still on my radar watch list. I'd also like to see I'd still like to see it dip down here, closer into some of this consolidation. It'd be better from a fundamental perspective. So, do I have a strong bottoming pattern? No. And again, we've broken major support with last week's, I should say, sell-off, and this is a bounce play only for me. Again, nothing long-term. Long-term, again, this is your weekly. We could retest the underside of the 200, even the rotation zone, and then roll back over. There's a lot of resistance to get through in Procter & Gamble. After gold, Terrace gold crash will be huge. At some point, gold will pull back. There is no pattern yet, Coco. Mike, the euro-US dollar is basically following the spread in short-term interest rates, and that spread U.S. the 2-year just has no signs of widening at all. Well, thank you for putting that in, Christoph. Christoph with some very good information there. Thank you, Christoph. Other than that, Christoph always putting in good stuff when he can join. Other than that, Tesla, again, dojo, but there's no great pattern in Tesla yet. Would not be shorting it just yet. By the way, NVIDIA also does have potential double top. Again, this is longer term stuff. I'm keeping an eye on this because if a lot of these doubles trigger, then we could start getting the pullback. Again, we've still had every dip being bought. This probably will get invalidated before it triggers, but it is there. Broadcom also has a double, potential double. So those I just have on my radar screen from a longer term perspective because the daily rotation zone would be out of the way if those were to trigger. There's no sign that they will. All right. GIS looks like PG if you want to look at GIS. If I could type. GIS, again, we don't have strong bottoming patterns just yet. That have triggered. This is still a lopsided mini double. That's it. It's not a long-term pattern yet. You can see that because it would just take it back into the rotation zone. So I am looking at this to see if we bounce up and then form a stronger base down here. I am keeping an eye on GIS, and I like it better at this point than Procter & Gamble. From trying to grab a bottom, it's just not there yet. The PE is better. The dividend yield is better. We're trading against a very key support area, but the only thing we have right now is a minor potential bouncing pattern. I'm looking for a stronger weekly pattern to set up. And earnings are in the middle of September. Gold actually does follow patterns. So, that's all. I'm not going to waste. Okay. Well, that's not what was proven when it was. We'll see. We will see. But it's not on all gold, Coco. It's not on all gold. So we shall see. Again, gold at some point will roll over. I'm waiting for a, again, trailing setup. But until that, gold's still long. Is it getting a little more toppy? Yes. Is there a major pattern yet? No. And remember, gold can move sideways to correct. If the market takes a dump, now if the markets eventually take a massive dump, then gold will too with the markets because gold will get liquidated to cover losses in the stocks. That will be one thing too. If we start getting a big pullback in the stocks, investors will shift to silver. Okay. All right. With that, again, since I got some stuff to do right after the open, I'm just watching 63.70 to 63.88, 63.90 level. That's all I'm looking at. And then I'll be working on the newsletter and then taking the rest of the day off. Well, I'll be taking the afternoon off since stocks close at 1 p.m. here and the futures close at 2. So I'm going to be taking it the rest of the day off this afternoon. Yeah, I've been looking at gold miners and silver miners like Newmont. They take a while to break out and then they run. Again, I will be looking for topping patterns in here, but nothing yet. We're running out of momentum on some of these miners though, so we could get somewhat of a blow off top setting up. But is that a crash in the miners? No. We could, though, see a very interesting pullback. There's just nothing yet besides waning momentum. There's one of their major ones, Newmont. So, could this price still continue to run up? Yeah. That's why I would not be shorting these miners at all. Not even with Coco's money. Also, it closed above the 62.5 on the longer term stuff, so we could still see some higher price action. Easily 72 and maybe even 79 before this is all said and done. So, again, would not be chasing at the moment, but a nice little pullbacks and then buy setups, especially if they got a weekly pullback and a percent beat buy could be very interesting for miners. GDX. There's your GDX. Next target is 60.16. 60.16. Interest rates, Swiss interest rates are dumping. Guess they are pricing in some more rate cuts in the light of the Trump tariffs on the Swiss. Yeah, the Trump tariffs at 39%. That's absurd for Switzerland. That's absurd. But that's the times we live in. So with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Monday, again, is quiet. There's a little Fed speak this weekend. There's some Fed speak this morning. Just got to keep monitoring the headlines to see what comes out of the administration next. And with that, I shall talk to everyone on Monday. Mini 1 hour double top in the S&P. Yeah, this is a mini double top. Again, it's the same level I was watching. 60. The technical trigger for that is below 63, 69.25 on a closing basis. I'm keeping an eye on 63, 70, 50. And yeah, that's just a mini double top. Again, may never trigger. This thing could break out to the upside. And that takes it back down to 63.50 area. By the way, I'd use these targets right here. So 63.51. So if you're looking for that, that's your little breakdown play. Other than that, if we break out above 63.88, watching for the continued move up. You're welcome, Anissa. You're welcome, Rick. Jake pointing out the good little patterns. Again, also, NASDAQ has the little mini too. I'd be trading the S personally. Again, can't give trading advice, but I'd be looking at, if it does break down, I'd be watching the S&P first over the NASDAQ if they trigger, because the S&P has not closed above the 62.5 and was weaker yesterday. So that would be the preferred one if they were both to trigger from my perspective. Just pointing that out so people can keep an eye on those and see how it plays out. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Bye for now.